Hello and welcome to the weekend edition of National Focus. I'm Tarnia Green. It's always a pleasure to have you join us. Topping the headlines, the Paybush constituency will benefit from several ongoing projects. A CARICOM mission to hold several consultations in Dominica next week. And adult education volunteer teachers recognized. Stay with me for the details of these and other stories coming up right after the break.
Hey, I had a good time in town last week with a pretty girl, man.
Hey, carry me next time when you're going now.
When we get paid Friday, we gonna go.
Careful, you might catch AIDS.
AIDS? Them girl pretty. Them girl can't get AIDS,
I
man.
think it's only ugly women have AIDS. Anybody could get it. If you get sick, what you gonna tell your wife?
Hey, your wife, come in.
Hey, change the topic. Change the topic.
Your family depends on you. Don't take home AIDS.
Do you have uncovered water storage drums around your home? Do you dispose of old tires, cans and old containers capable of holding water anywhere in your environment? Are you being bitten by mosquitoes, particularly at dusk and early morning? Do you keep houseplants in water? Do you spend your hard-earned cash to control mosquitoes? Has your community experienced dengue fever outbreaks? If your answer is yes, to at least 3 questions above, you are at risk to dengue fever. Join the fight against dengue fever. The responsibility for a dengue-free Dominica lies with you. So, get rid of the Aedes aegypti mosquito.
Welcome back. Time now for the details of the news. A number of projects are currently underway in the Paybush constituency. These projects, when completed, will benefit farmers and the general populace of that constituency. On Thursday, GIS News visited these projects along with Parliamentary Representative Honorable Matthew Walter and members of his Paybush Constituency Association. The first stop was at Dengue, an area below the community of Paybush, which leads to the farms of several individuals from the Paybush and Dodan area. We got to the site where a bridge is being constructed to facilitate access to the farms. A previous structure built in that area was not firm enough to withstand the damage done by the river when it overflowed its banks.
The farmers that farm, in this vicinity, they were somewhat agitated because this bridge was built and was damaged by the river. This is a powerful river. When it floods, it brings down a lot of water, and certainly the water is accompanied by a lot of debris, and also trees. So that damaged, the bridge, the river crossing, and as a result, it made it impassable. The government of Dominica considered the plight of the farmers in this area and decided to invest about $140,000 to rebuild the river crossing.
Construction of a more resilient structure began on August 15, 2013, and it is expected that by the end of September, this project will be complete. Project contractor Alfonso Tuse says working next to the river has proven to be a bit difficult. On a few occasions, he was forced to stop work because of heavy rain. He is, however, working hard to complete this bridge as he understands how important it is to the farmers of the area.
It's extremely important. It's a farmer road. Farmer is the people business, and people things is everybody business. So I see, for me, I see the most important things around the community for the time, and the farmers really need it over there.
Mr. Willix Richards is a farmer who has been in this area for a very long time. He's grateful for the bridge, which he says will make a lot easier for transporting his produce to the other side of the river.
The bridge is very important for me
more or less the other farmers, because I work in not so far, so I more or less pass under but the other farmers. But it's still a benefit for me. I can bring down my crop. And the transport can go higher up and bring down the crops for me.
Honorable Matthew Walter expresses his contentment with the work done on this project, which will serve about 8 farmers.
I am very satisfied with the integrity of the structure and satisfied with the work done by the contractor. I wish the farmers well and expect them to be much more productive because there is a need for us to be able to intensify production and productivity not only in the Paybush constituency but in the entire country.
Farmers from Asdime, Asolda and Bence area will also receive easier access to their farms. Construction of the 4-valve feeder road in Asolda is underway. This project will be undertaken in phases as several miles of road has to be covered.
We did a portion of the road. The road is a long road and we will be doing it by phases. And certainly there are many farmers who farm there, and the government of Dominica will ensure that we invest some more financial resources on that road so that it makes vehicular traffic as well as people traffic a little bit more easy.
One of the beneficiaries is copra farmer Irene Celestine. Celestine is pleased for the effort of government and her parliament representative to assist farmers.
We had just a little path to go in our garden, and we used to carry the load from there to the road, and it was a struggle. And now my Prime Minister has given us some money to start the project to reach right there in our garden. My garden, it is higher up anyway. So I'm saying thanks to everybody, especially the Prime Minister and my pal rep, Mr. Walters. Thanks very much. Well, I wasn't there when they did the first phase on the road. I was in Antigua. When I came back, the same day I went and I walked on the road and I say, yes, at least we have the first phase.
This 4-valve road leads to about 10 farms. GIS News will bring you more details of other projects visited in the Paybush constituency in Monday's newscast. Dominica's ambassador to the OECS, His Excellency Felix Gregoire, has announced that a CARICOM mission will hold several consultations in Dominica on the 23rd and 24th of September. The visit is the CARICOM Secretariat's response to directives by heads of government to improve the effectiveness of the regional body.
There is a reform process going on at the CARICOM level. And at the end of that, there will be 2 outcomes. One, the Secretariat itself will be more efficient, it will be strengthened, it will be reformed, so to speak, so it can deliver a better service to the Caribbean community. And as a second product, we'll have a new strategic plan for CARICOM.
The objective of the 2-day visit is to seek the views of representatives of various sectors on the way forward for CARICOM.
People will give suggestions as to what CARICOM should be doing, what should be the priority areas to be addressed, and basically to make the programming more relevant.
Consultations will be held with Prime Minister Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit and members of Cabinet, Leader of the Opposition, Permanent Secretaries, private sector organizations, labor unions, cooperatives, non-governmental organizations, and representatives of the National Youth Council. A consultation will be held with representatives of the local media.
But that consultation, whereas CARICOM will most likely report on the mission itself, but the media will be given an opportunity to see how the media would like to see CARICOM perform. So I need to make that clear to you, because the idea is to get your perception of CARICOM. As media workers, I'm sure you have suggestions to make to CARICOM, and we're hoping that you can do that at that briefing.
In other news, one resident of Shawford has applauded the Roosevelt Skerritt administration for the construction of the community's first water supply system. The system was officially commissioned during a ceremony in Shawford on Wednesday. Fernanda Raymond, who is also a member of the Project Management Committee, says the new system will have a positive impact on the residents of the committee.
This is one major project that responded directly to the need of a community. And from this perspective, for this community, Shawford, this water supply system being commissioned today will, and I believe sincerely, contribute to all members of the community to improve our hygienic environment, enhance and significantly improve our lives. Shawford residents will share that together. No more praying for the Kawem to end. No more looking towards the mountaintops for rain.
The over $1 million Shawford Water Project was funded by the Caribbean Development Bank through the Basic Needs Trust Fund 6th program. And the head of the Labour Women's Organization is calling on women to speak up on the issues that affect them and their families. Sonia Williams was addressing women specifically at the recently held Labour Party Delegates Conference.
We must speak out against the violence taking place in our schools among our students and between our students and teachers. Talk to your children, listen to them, go to your children's schools, not to curse up the teachers, but to find out about the welfare of our children. Our children are our future, so we need to secure that future. We have to help the Ministry of Education and our government to curb or eradicate behavioral problems in our schools.
She also admonished women to speak out against crime and the abuse of drugs.
We must speak out against the acts of crime and violence at our various tourist sites, which are impacting negatively on our tourism industry, which is so vital to our economy. We must speak out against the misuse of drugs, which are destroying our young people and our productive sector. As women, we must be firm in our resolve for what is right. We must be focused and never lose sight of what our priorities should be and set them right. We must speak out against character assassination, which destroys the good name of some of the most prominent people in our country.
She says the women of Dominica must allow their voices to be heard on development plans and the social programs that are being implemented across the country.
Government has put a number of programs in place for our young people and our elderly. There are programs in education at all levels, skills training, health, social services, housing, among others. We must talk about our foreign policy, our solid foreign policies, which have brought so much benefit to our country, thanks to the visionary leadership of our Honorable Prime Minister, Roosevelt Skerritt. We must defend our relationship with the People's Republic of China, with Venezuela, with Cuba, with Morocco, with Serbia, and all our other benefactors and friends. While we maintain our sovereignty, we must never lose sight of the fact that we have friends who have been good to us.
And Donville Innes, a guest speaker at the DLP Delegates Conference last weekend, spoke about the extraordinary leadership of Prime Minister Honorable Roosevelt Skerritt. He acknowledged and highlighted some foreign policy decisions made by the Roosevelt Skerritt administration.
In Dominica, you have done a remarkable job over the past 10 years or so to weather the social and economic challenges with which this region and indeed the world has had to grapple. When we look at the performance of term of Dominica, your accomplishments, Prime Minister Skerritt, are indeed admirable. You have made some very crucial foreign policy decisions that have created meaningful opportunity for development and sustainable employment. You have made some social and economic policy decisions that have guided you through turbulent waters. And as Prime Minister Skerritt themed in his budget address for this fiscal year, you in Dominica are building on the gains that you've made.
He too believes in regional integration and described his vision of cooperation between Dominica and Barbados.
Now I'm persuaded that even though we are separated by water, and even though we have to fashion our own individual development, Caribbean islands can accelerate development if they but deepen cooperation and collaboration one with the other. And I know that we have CARICOM, OECS, etc. here. But this evening I'm speaking of Dominican businessmen, forming alliances and entering into business ventures with Barbadian businessmen. I speak here of Dominican farmers producing and Barbadian businessmen retailing organically grown fruits and vegetables from Dominica. I speak of our chefs in Barbados, creating special dishes utilizing Dominican dasheen, plantains, fruits, foods, and displaying the same against the backdrop of a colorful array of Dominican flowers.
He spoke about the relentless efforts by the Prime Minister to rally votes for Dr. Carissa Etienne's post for Director of PAHO.
But I certainly remember during the candidature of Dr. Carissa Etienne for the post of Director of the Pan American Health Organization, your Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerritt once again led from in front. There is no hiding the fact that Prime Minister Skerritt wanted his compatriot elected. I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, in this great party, your Prime Minister ensured that his cell phone number showed up on the line and digital cell phone of every person of influence in the Caribbean as he battled to get Dr. Carissa Etienne elected. And when the odds seemed to be against us for her election to the post of Director, Prime Minister Skerritt made it his business to personally lobby all and sundry. I well remember speaking to him on this matter, and what impressed me most, he said, Donville, this is not just Dominica's candidate, this is CARICOM's candidate. And therefore you have a leader who truly cares about this region.
As Minister for Health in Barbados, Innes ended by saying the vital signs of the Dominican Labour Party are indeed healthy. Gaston Brown, in his address to the recently held Dominican Labour Party Delegates Convention, also spoke to the issue of regional integration and highlighted areas where the Roosevelt Skerritt-led administration took advantage of opportunities presented to them.
Among the opportunities that many governments have missed and the policies that should have been pursued are regional cooperation and integration. In this regard, your Prime Minister has shown the maturity to rise above the limitations of narrow nationalism to embrace the prospects of wider regionalism. He has done so in many ways, but two of them certainly stand out. Firstly, he committed his government to take up shareholding in Liat, while others unjustifiably sat on the sidelines, content to benefit from its service, but selfishly refusing to contribute to its service delivery. This is a typical example where the commitment in practice of some Caribbean leaders is incongruent to the espoused commitment of Caribbean integration.
Additionally, Brown stated that Prime Minister Honorable Roosevelt Skerritt, in demonstrating exemplary leadership skills, had the courage to speak up for the free movement in the region.
He has pointed out that while our Caribbean brothers and sisters are being denied entry to our countries to contribute their skills, work permits are being issued to persons from outside the region. Roosevelt Skerritt has stood up for regional causes, and in so doing, he has stood up for the rights and entitlements of Dominicans, of Barbadians, of St. Lucians, of Grenadans, of Antiguans and Barbudans. He has stood up for every single man and woman region in the Caribbean. He has shown an example for other leaders to follow. He deserves our appreciation and admiration for putting the people of the Caribbean first.
The Antigua and Barbuda opposition leader shed some light on the mistreatment of Caribbean people and also spoke to the advancement of regional integration.
The insignificance, disrespect, and discriminatory treatment of our Caribbean brothers and sisters in many of our respective member states is no trivial matter. In fact, in many instances, our Caribbean brothers and sisters have been denigrated into an overwhelming sense of undesirable status, of inferiority and unwelcome. This short-sighted, draconian, callous treatment of our Caribbean brothers and sisters and its likely consequence is extremely worrisome. Whereas we all have our individual destinies, as leader of the Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party, I believe that a collective destiny of our member states should be a federated Caribbean state. A federated Caribbean state, one nation, one people with a common destiny. The time has come for us to commit ourselves to the concept of one nation, one people, and to set a bold vision for a Caribbean federated state. This necessitates that we work relentlessly to advance economic union in ultimate realization of political union in the creation of a federated Caribbean state.
He invited Caribbean leaders to commit themselves to the policy of free movement.
If we are seriously desirous of pursuing and realizing a common destiny of one nation, one people, we must protect and, where applicable, enhance the civil infrastructure, including our attitudes and behaviors to each other, to facilitate full integration and socialization of our Caribbean populations. Social intercourse and integration among all citizens and residents of Caribbean member states should be encouraged in order to propel us to a federated state. This, however, cannot happen without free movement. So I say to all Caribbean leaders, free up the people, man. Let them move. So today, I invite these Caribbean leaders to review and to repudiate all acts of discrimination, to remove all obstacles to free movement, and to commit themselves to the realization of the policy of free movement in realization of our common aspiration for federated Caribbean states.
In more news, 8 adult education volunteer teachers received certificates of recognition at a dinner and award ceremony on Thursday. These outstanding teachers were selected by the Adult Education Division from various education zones across the country for their hard work and dedication towards building adult capacity. Those receiving awards included Kirk Edwards, Philbert Joseph, Daniel Coffey, Helen Sabin, May Honoré, Aisha Richards, Luther Martin, and Claudia Tousse. A special award for dedicated service to the Adult Education Division was bestowed on Giselle Etienne. Martha Andre, Adult Education Officer of the Adult Education Division, congratulated the award recipients for being agents of change within their respective communities.
I want you to consider the contribution that you have made to the adult education program and to your community development. We are agents of change, and we have to be seen as agents of change in our communities. We cannot afford to just sit back and see things go on, and like our old parlance say, so it is. We must now put a foot forward and try to aid in the development of our communities and our people.
Minister for Social Services, Community Development and Gender Affairs, Honorable Gloria Shillingford, thanked the teachers for their level of dedication to education.
Let me recognize in a special way the 8 from the different zones around the country who have been selected to receive awards this evening. Your selection tells the entire country that you have contributed beyond measure, that you have put love for your fellow men before love for self. For it is only this which would give you the drive to continue year after year, volunteering your services to the development of your fellow citizens.
The ceremony formed part of activities celebrating Adult Education Month 2013. And that's the English segment of the news. McPherson St. Luce comes up next with the Creole highlights.
Allô tout le monde, bienvenue à cette nouvelle en créole. Non moi c'est McPherson St. Luce. Premièrement, public Dominique qui a eu opportunité de mener sujet à cette table pendant la mission CARICOM qui tient session semaine prochaine. Une mission CARICOM qui en Dominique où là il y a une session et puis divers secteurs société là. Parole Salah sorti de l'ambassadeur Dominique pour CARICOM, His Excellency Félix Grégoire.
Team là pas parler 10 moun. Ça pour moun di. C'est moun qui vini di team là. Ça yo te qui voulait team CARICOM fait. So c'est ça qui est fait. Mais là où pas parler ba moun ni bité ou katan moun ka di. Moun ka parler code pour moun free movement, moun ka parler code CSME, ça c'est pour moun qui a fait business, trade, c'est ba ça, moun qui parler comme ça. Mais moun qui parler contre d'autres bité aussi parce que la tech a changé. Il y avait moun qui ni d'autres bité pour parler code. Qui peut-être parler code liat pour transport. Yo qui parle de CCJ, Koban, bah comme ça. Mais CARICOM peut mettre ça sous table là. C'est ce monde là qui est venu et mettre ça sous table là. Avec CARICOM qui matche.
Alors nouvelle gouvernement Dominique bien plaisir pour station gaz et puis diesel qui Petro-Caribé ouvert Bamawi en Kachakou. Parole celle-là sorti hors ministre patient honorable Dr. Kenneth Darrow.
No identify place no ka landing site land na local fair gas station because I no taper en pass like c'est maman une difficulté pour taper gas esprit la yo pas gas esprit la yo pas vendre gas dans village la community ou la yo te so nous commencer à faire ces filling station là puis la yoka puis à certain instance même la yoka aller cannot yo so l'argent était qu'à payer pour payer en voiture pour descendre aux eaux pour vivre avec gaz là ça aller à pour gagner d'autres gaz et hot qui savent am question no besoin mention là c'est yo même qui manage ces filling stations là so profit à hot up sell gas là et bien ça le rebate because Petro-Caribé gaba yo un rebate à chaque gallon gas yo van so rebate ça même ka vie à dans coopérative là qui ka manager en place là et bien yo ça aide yo c'est pour l'argent yo pour yo dépenser à qui manière yo ça mais nous ka viser yo pour servir de manière qui profitable pour tout le monde. Yo ça mettre point fond là pour un temps désastre là, hurricane et bagaille am détruit et bateau et équipement marin perd. So yo ça point aider c'est marin là, c'est mam yo.
Alors nouvelle symposium Haïti qui kay tient en Dominique semaine prochaine, quelle session en l'école à donc en manière apprendre négion contre technologie ça là. Parole ça là sorti officier Haïti en Dominique. Monsieur Abraham Duran.
Quand parler par exemple à l'école, avec la petite école, avec il expliquer comment il même vivre distance là il vivre quand ça veut technologie, puis il y a différentes qualités façons de servir technologie avec différents métiers, différents travaux ça tape quoi dans sous connaître technologie bien. Comme ça il aller encourager pour ça apprendre technologie avec pour servir bien, avec pour mettre l'esprit comment il peut servir technologie ça là. Pour Bayoguan succès là yo vini Guamun. Dr. John Baptiste Moun Marigot quand ça a décidé il voulait joindre et puis jeune moun à l'école Northeast Comprehensive quand ça le vendredi 27 il allait faire journée entière ka parler avec les enfants, avec teacher à l'école, avec parents, n'importe qui monde ça joindre. En l'école là, compte même affaires technologie.
Et puis finalement, activité culturelle en parmi d'autres chrétiennes pour culminer semaine Kalinago. M. Prosper Paris, c'est chairman comité qui en charge ces activités là.
L'année là, nous parlons en Miss Natari, en Princess Natari ou Miss Kalinago pageant. Et ça se compte organisation là de fait ça par courant l'année ça pour faire. Et nous avons placé ça avec un pression semi en kind of cultural gala. Là nous avons tous ces groupes culturels là qui café culture une tradio et les autres monde nous qui mène commencer à faire un spectacle. Ça a fait un Carina Village. Après ça, nous avons Swinging Stars. Mais c'est gens qui viennent visiter nous, c'est gens qui viennent participer avec nous, qui tapent en chance pour faire un petit jauté. C'est samedi soir. Dimanche là aussi sont un jour qui est très important pour nous. Parce que là nous avons exposé, c'est là nous avons démontré les jouets Kalinago qui nous ont perdu et nous avons mené.
Messieurs, mesdames, ça c'est tout pour nouvelle en créole pour à présent. Non, moi c'est McPherson Luce. Et un bon week-end. Au revoir.
Thank you, McPherson. We now join Kimani Seja for this week's edition of Flashback.
Welcome to this week's edition of Flashback. In the headlines this week, Prime Minister Skerrit puts a number of matters into context at the Dominica Labour Party Delegates Conference last Sunday. Among the many topics discussed was the nomination of a new president for Dominica. Public Works Minister Rayburn Blackmore speaks about continued efforts by government to improve the island's road network. Government will realize a 61% rehabilitation of the island's main road by the end of October 2013. Also this week, EMS Limited is ready to provide energy efficiency in terms of lighting and air conditioning to the Dominican community. On Tuesday, the company launched the use of LED as an energy alternative to save cost. On Wednesday, Colombia's new ambassador to Dominica, His Excellency Luis Martinez Fernandez, presented his credentials to Dominica's president, His Excellency Eliud Williams. Also on Wednesday, a call by the Kalinago Council and community to establish a monument which would serve to stamp the sterling contribution of Dominica's indigenous people. A live monument and rally was held in Pocassi. Residents of Shawford now have access to reliable potable water. The over $1 million water system was officially commissioned during a ceremony in that community on Wednesday. And on Thursday this week, 8 adult education volunteer teachers received certificates of recognition at a dinner and awards ceremony. These teachers were selected to be awarded for their hard work and dedication towards building adult capacity. Those were the headline stories which made the news this week. Back to you, Tarnia.
Thank you, Kimani. When we come back, we'll bring you a few tips on how to stop your sugar cravings.
Do you have uncovered water storage drums around your home? Do you dispose of old tires, cans and old containers capable of holding water anywhere in your environment? Are you being bitten by mosquitoes, particularly at dusk and early morning? Do you keep houseplants in water? Do you spend your hard-earned cash to control mosquitoes? Has your community experienced dengue fever outbreaks? If your answer is yes to at least 3 questions above, you are at risk to dengue fever. Join the fight against dengue fever. The responsibility for a dengue-free Dominica lies with you. So, get rid of the Aedes aegypti mosquito.
If you're craving sugar, here are some ways to tame those cravings. Reach for fruit. Keep fruit handy for when sugar cravings hit. You'll get fiber and nutrients along with some sweetness. And stock up on foods like nuts, seeds, and dried fruits. Eat regularly. Waiting too long between meals may set you up to choose sugary, fatty foods that cut your hunger. Instead, eating every 3 to 5 hours can help keep blood sugar stable and help you avoid irrational eating behavior. Your best bets: choose protein, fiber-rich foods like whole grains and produce. Or just get up and go. When a sugar craving hits, walk away. Take a walk around the block or do something to change the scenery, to take your mind off the food you're craving. And that's all for this edition of National Focus. We always welcome your suggestions and your comments. Drop us an email at gis@dominica.gov.dm, or you can visit our website at news.gov.dm. You can also friend us on our Facebook page and be sure to like our GIS Dominica fan page. You can also catch up on past National Focus newscasts on our GIS Dominica YouTube channel. On behalf of the entire news team, I'm your presenter, Tarnia Green. Thank you so much for watching and have yourselves a wonderful weekend.